The June 22nd meeting of the School Board of Charlotte County is called to order. We have sitting in the seat of the superintendent this evening, Jerry Olivo. This is part of Dr. Gaylor's training program. And Jerry Olivo, Assistant Superintendent for District Support Services, is serving as superintendent this evening. Dr. Gaylor is in the audience, should we need his counsel. To lead us in the pledge to the flag tonight, we have Maureen Watts, principal of Charlotte Harbor School.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections for this evening's agenda?
Yes, ma'am. We have two. Item F1C, out-of-state travel. Some additional names were added to the request. And item F2H, personnel addendum number 1.
Moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we add item F1C, out-of-state travel, and item F2H, personnel addendum number 1. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next we have reports, and we have the student wellness report.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to call Dr. Widmeyer to the podium for presentation of the student wellness report.
Ms. Young, board members, the Florida statute 1003.453, section 18, requires school districts to annually review their student wellness policy. This is required by the Child Nutrition and WIC reauthorization of 2004. In Charlotte County, we have each one of our schools has a wellness committee, which oversees the wellness plan of each school. We also have a district wellness committee, of which each school is represented. And in addition, we have a school health advisory committee, which sometimes gives information to the wellness committee. Our district committee met, and we have no recommendations for changes to board policy number 8510, and that's one of the things that we are charged with taking a look at every year to see if there are additions or changes that we would recommend to be made to that policy. But I'd like to take a few minutes to speak to student wellness for this past year. As you know, we follow the coordinated school health model. We don't just do wellness and say, okay, it's about nutrition and that's it. We believe in wellness for the whole child. And so the coordinated school health model actually follows that quite nicely for us. Those sections are nutrition, bullying, family and community involvement, health education, health services, social services, and faculty and staff. The way this works is that all of our schools must have 4 goals, 4 goal areas out of the school health model. 2 of those areas must be, one must be in the area of nutrition, and one must be in the area of bullying. The other 2 the schools get to choose. They do a self-assessment, they set goals, and then at the end of the year they give me their reports. In addition to that, we have 14 schools which participate in BMI indices. And what we have found is that from last year to this year, particularly in the rate of students referred to health professionals for obesity, we have 14 schools participating. 29% of those saw decreases in referrals from last year, and then over the period of 4 years since we've been doing that, 43% have seen a decrease in the number of students that are being referred for obesity. We have individual schools, some of which have gone up a bit, some of which have gone down a lot, and they'll be getting those individual reports, and they'll be able to use those as they move into their goals for next year to set their goals. So Another thing that I'd just like to point out is that this year we, in partnership with the County Health Department, we were given 31 WEs, and we have some really impressive statistics from the 31 WEs. Actually, over the year, and I must say that we need to change the reporting format just a little bit, but as far as I could see, we have at least 21,463 times that students or staff participated in using the WEs in our schools. So that's a very nice statistic for us. In other areas, some of the highlights of some of the school wellness goals this year at Charlotte Harbor, they not only did under their nutrition, they also had manners posters, so kids were learning good manners. At Charlotte High School, they had confidential bully boxes. At Deep Creek Elementary, information was distributed about bullying at every program planners meeting. At L.A. Anger, they set up an anonymous web-based bullying. Liberty Elementary reports a 78% reduction under the area of bullying. Meadow Park, a 20% reduction. Also at Meadow Park, weekly visits by the counselor in grades K through 2 to read books about anti-bullying. Punta Gorda Middle School has done a focus group directed toward decreasing anger and bullying, and they actually tape those focus groups and then play them for the entire school to see, so that kids can see that kids are talking about that it's not a good thing to do. In the area of nutrition, Charlotte Harbor held cafeteria tours for the students. I mentioned the good manners posters. At Charlotte High School, the club sponsors were asked to only offer nutritional food for fundraising. And at Kingsway, sugar snacks were allowed only 2 times per year in each class. And I will say that Kingsway has done a marvelous job of decreasing the number of students referred for obesity over the last 4 years. They probably are leading the pack there. At L.A. Anger, 70% of the students indicated that they did try the new veggies and fruits during the Fruit of the Month sampling that we heard about from Ms. Whitaker a couple months ago, and 25% that said that they would try it on their own. At Liberty, actually, they increased the healthy options in their faculty vending machines from 4 to 6. So you can see that this is a student wellness policy, but the coordinated school health policy tries to incorporate good, healthful living, not only for students but for adults as well. At Port Charlotte High School, instead of giving kids goodie bags before they took the FCAT, they were given positive messages and a pencil. And they report that water is becoming the drink of choice there. Lemon Bay is reducing the number of sugar-related foods and beverages at their Manta stand. Sally Jones had kids working on food pyramid activities and gave out 700 booklets for families for nutrition. Peace River had the American Heart Association visit for Get Moving Night. At the Academy, there was an increase in the amount of water and the amount of fruit that students consumed. Faculty and staff, under that heading, many schools report that they participated in the Hoorah for Health, and the faculties were using the WEs as well. At Deep Creek, they gave pedometers to staff members. Many schools have the Biggest Loser contest, and Liberty is setting up a fitness path. They're doing a grant with the local Kiwanis, so we'll see how that works. People have participated in softball teams. For health education, at the Academy, they increased their health education offerings, and they had a student wellness resource center, which talked about germs on surfaces, hand washing, sneezing, coughing, MRSA, and then choose 6 at Champs. They also had assemblies, messages that showed messages from pop music, smokeless tobacco, social norms awareness, and peer-led motion activities. Kingsway had a decrease in overweight students. They were down 12.83%. And they said that they had a decrease in student accidents because of structured PE classes. So that's good data. A couple schools participated in the Governor's Physical Fitness Challenge. That would be Meadow Park and Kingsway. At Neil Armstrong, twice as many classes used the running track as did last year. Port Charlotte High School held the second annual health fair, and over 800 students enjoyed that. And not only did they have booths, but they also participated in activities. And Murdoch Middle had morning intramurals. And those are just some of the things that are going on in schools. As you know, our motto for our student wellness is to educate and encourage, and not to dictate. And it would appear that that we're seeing some nice changes. That's it, Mr. Olivo.
Questions, Mrs. Messina?
Yes, thank you. Really, really good stuff happening, and I appreciate your leadership on that. I remember when we first were kind of charged with the whole wellness thing, and there was fear everywhere, and people didn't know, and I know that's why our motto of encouraging and
Yes, it is.
Educating. But my question is, the reduction in the number of students with the high levels of BMI, we're not tracing individual students. We're just looking at overall number of students enrolled in a school.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Correct, yeah.
Questions?
And all of that will be on, actually, we're redoing the website. Jennifer and I are redoing the wellness website this year for next year. And but we still will have our best practices on there, and so we'll add some of those to that. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Good work. We have no old business, and so next on the agenda is new business, item F1, the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. The superintendent recommends approval of the consent agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as submitted. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next is item F2A, the resolution for participation in the local government surplus funds trust fund investment pool, otherwise known as Florida Prime.
Yes, ma'am. And this resolution approval establishes an account with the Prime Fund to allow Regents Bank to administer the bond proceeds. And Mr. Greiner is in the audience, should you have any additional questions.
Questions that anyone wants to ask Mr. Greiner? Guess not. Recommended action.
Yes, ma'am. The superintendent recommends approval of the resolution as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution for participation with the local government surplus funds trust fund investment pool as submitted. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next is item F2B, safety and security best practices self-assessment. Mr. Olivo.
Yes, ma'am. As you know, Florida statute requires a self-assessment to be conducted on a yearly basis, and Dr. Widmeyer, I'd like to call her to the podium to review the best practices assessment with you.
I'm filling in for Mr. Cummings this evening, who is off on a tactical mission. He is. And this is our 9th year of the self-assessment. The document before you is the 4-page document that you approve, and the check marks indicate compliance in all categories. Now, I know that there is a lot of supporting documentation that I believe you had the opportunity to see. And there were 4 new indicators this year. We met all of them. 2 of them only had some new wording or some different wording, and 2 of them were actually new. So the new indicators target gangs, gang training, and varying conditions for crisis drills. And we do provide training to specific staff members. We provide gang training to deans and assistant principals and security officers, but Mr. Cummings is planning to expand that to the general staff next year.
Questions?
I would just like to, I was looking at the list, and it's amazing to see all the precautions that are being taken to keep our students and our staff safe and secure, and that every one of them has been met. I think that's great. It is, really is.
I think it's really an indication of the proactiveness of that division of safety and security that we have met them all and do it well, and we are prepared. Yes, I actually got to see him in the hallway today and congratulate him, so that was nice. All right, recommended action.
Yes, ma'am. The superintendent recommends approval of the 2009-2010 Safety and Security Best Practices Self-Assessment as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the Safety and Security Best Practices Self-Assessment. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have item F2C, the Charlotte Technical Center 2010 post-secondary fees.
Yes, ma'am. And as you know, the annual fee schedule is set by our state legislators. The state provides a list of adult, post-secondary, and day program fees, and Charlotte County Public Schools follows the fee schedule recommended by the state. And with that, the superintendent recommends approval of the 2010 Charlotte Technical Center post-secondary fees as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the Tech Center 2010 post-secondary fees. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next is item F2D, the concept drawings for Charlotte Harbor Center Adaptive Playground. Mr. Olivo.
Yes, ma'am, and we're so pleased to bring this to you. As you know, at a recent workshop, Mr. Alan Holback, who has worked so diligently with a number of local entities to raise the funds for this adaptive playground, the team shared with you those concept drawings. Special thanks to Ms. Watts and her staff who helped Mr. Hollenbach. And Mr. Hollenbach, unfortunately, could not be here this evening, but he wanted me to pass along his kind thoughts to you folks. And with that, the superintendent recommends approval of the concept drawings for the Charlotte Harbor Center Adaptive Playground as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the concept drawings for the Charlotte Harbor Center Adaptive Playground. Any discussion? Ms.
Yes, I think we would be remiss if we didn't recognize Mr. Hallenbeck and the Rotaries that have raised money, and just all the community organizations really that have helped out with this particular project. It was a lot of money to have to raise for a playground, but they did it, and it was an important playground for us to have. So we just really are appreciative for their efforts and energy.
Other comments? I wanted to mention at the workshop, I mentioned that we should commend Mr. Riley for his band having the fundraiser. But then after the workshop, someone from Rotary came to me and they said, I don't think you really realize how much Mr. Riley's, I was going to say Coach Riley, I think is how they referred to you, Coach Riley's band's fundraiser then got the attention of the International Rotary or the National Rotary, and then they contributed. So that was really an impetus to give it that last push and get the last bit of funds coming in. So double kudos to you, Mr. Riley, and the band.
If I could say, she's Ed and Mark Russell. We thought about taking out of Bob.
Yeah, we definitely do. Maybe Mike can make sure I know all the people. He can get with me to send some thank yous.
Okay, thank you. And also, it's just such a wonderful community amenity that we're going to have now, because we have a good number of adults who are disabled and will be able to enjoy this playground. So it's really a wonderful thing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item F2E, the final drawings for Lemon Bay High School remodel, renovation, and new construction Phase 3, the 3-story classroom, building, and main gymnasium. Mr. Olivo.
Yes, ma'am. And I'd like to ask Mr. Spur, our Director of Maintenance and Operations, and Mr. Jack Williams, our architect from Harvard Jolly, to come on down and review this phase of the Lemon Bay High School construction project.
Thank you, Madam Chair, school board members, Mr. Olivo. It's a pleasure to come here today to bring the final drawings for the Lemon Bay High School remodel, renovation, and new construction Phase 3, which is a 3-story classroom and gymnasium. We brought a couple of renditions that we'll have Jack kind of give us a few words on. And once we have your approval, we'll kind of move forward with the bid process and GMP, and hopefully come here at the end of August with a GMP so then we can start construction. I also wanted to, some of you saw Alan Silver and Kevin Gray, part of the construction team for Balfour Beatty. They're in the audience. So, Jack?
Good evening. As Gene had indicated, we have a couple renderings here that kind of identify the scope of our Phase 3. A few reminders. The rendering on the right-hand side shows the overall campus plan, and we've highlighted that portion of the buildings that would be Phase 3, which is the northeast corner of the campus. Show you a little bit of context of how it's located. The rendering on the left shows the view from the courtyard. It illustrates our new gymnasium, which will have our PE locker rooms, fitness center. The 3-story classroom provides the bulk of our classrooms for the project. It also includes science labs, administrative suite, is also part of that 3-story. What's also not shown on the rendering toward the right is a chiller building that we're basically remodeling the existing tech lab into a new chiller building. So that gives you the overall scope of the project. These renderings give us a little bit of feeling for the character we're trying to portray. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you.
Questions? Mr. Swift.
Not a question, but would you mind getting us a scaled-down paper version of that to have to show folks?
We'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Spur, anything else?
No, that should do it tonight.
Then we will go with the recommended action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. And the superintendent recommends approval of the Lemon Bay High School final drawings as submitted this evening.
Moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the final drawings for Lemon Bay High School remodel, renovation, and new construction Phase 3, 3-story classroom building, and main gymnasium. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and we look forward to seeing you again with the guaranteed maximum price.
That's low.
That's right.
I guess I
Item F2F, the athletic coaching endorsement plan.
Yes, ma'am. And the athletic coaching endorsement plan is something that's been in the process for some time now. Mr. Bradley has been working with April Prestipino and working on this plan that's being requested for approval today. In a nutshell, it will provide an avenue for staff, teachers, and coaches who work on the Florida High School Athletic Association sports to be certified through the state. If you have any questions, Mr. Bradley is here. If not, the superintendent recommends approval of the athletic coaching endorsement plan as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the athletic coaching endorsement plan as submitted. Any discussion? I just have one question. If someone wants to volunteer and not be paid, we will not require them to go through this. Is that correct? Okay. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next is item F2G, transfer of bus title.
Yes, ma'am. As we've done in the past, as buses go through surplus, if requested by organizations such as the YMCA, which work closely with our schools and our school district, we afford them the opportunity to utilize those buses. And so the superintendent recommends approval of the transfer of the bus title as requested this evening.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we transfer a surplus bus title to the South County Family YMCA. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And we have finally item F2H, personnel action and addendum number 1.
Yes, ma'am. The superintendent recommends approval of the personnel action as submitted, presented, as amended earlier this evening.
So, second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve personnel action and addendum number 1. Mrs. Messina.
Yes, I saw a lot of teachers' names on the personnel action for the Peace River Elementary Summer Reading Academy, and our worthy assistant superintendent did the research when I asked questions, and I wasn't sure if you all got the information because it looked like it just came to me. But the summer school is 3rd grade reading at Peace River. There's 108 kids that come from all the schools in the district, and I just thought you might be interested.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have citizen comment. Ms. Smith, anyone wishing to address us?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Attorney comment. Ms. Young? Nothing tonight. All right. Board member comment. Mrs. Rendell.
You can tell.
Right.
There was a very good article by Eric Ernst about Lemon Bay High School in yesterday's Herald Tribune, and it mentioned Balfour Beatty in it quite a few times. And what he wrote about was the huge effect that rebuilding Lemon Bay High School is going to have on the local economy. And he starts out by saying how companies will benefit who do the direct work, like the carpentry and the plumbing and the electric, that type of thing. And then he talks about the businesses that will benefit indirectly from it, like the restaurants, the gas stations, and the stores. And then he mentioned something that I really never thought about before, but there are many businesses who donate regularly to Lemon Bay High School, to the theater department, to their sports programs and music programs. And those businesses will likely benefit, and then they in turn will start donating once again to Lemon Bay High School, because a lot of those businesses stopped since the economy was so bad. So they will once again start their donation program to that school. And then he also talked about the psychological effects that a big construction project has on a community, and it gives the people the idea that the economy is recovering and that things are going to be okay, and so people start spending and hopefully saving also, and they just feel better about the economy and their life in general. And I can't help but think of what would have happened had the referendum passed a few years ago, which is exactly what we said. What Eric Ernst said in his column is exactly what we said. And you can take what he wrote about and multiply that by about 10 times the benefit that we would have felt throughout the county, because we were going to reconstruct or rebuild, 10 or 12 of our schools. So it's nice that we are doing our 2 schools, and our community will see a lot of the much benefit from that. But I just it's still a sore spot, I think, from a few years ago. And Mr. Olivo, a pleasure doing the agenda review with you. It's only 30 minutes, and it's just about over with. So thank you, and it was a nice hour-long conversation with you I had. Thank you.
Ma'am. Mrs. Miller.
Yes. First, I want to apologize for missing the June 8th school board meeting. It really was an important meeting. We honored so many deserving people, and I would like to extend my congratulations to all. That means I get extra time tonight, right, to talk? Nah. Okay. June 15th, we were privileged to a demonstration by Mr. Duckworth on the advantages of the new AVL system in transportation. Not only does the system improve service to all customers, it lowers the operational costs and increases compliance with statutes, policies, and best practices. It's a fabulous program. We're glad it's here. June 17th, I attended the Florida School Board Association conference and participated in a session led by our very own Andrea Messina. And it was entitled, Ethics, the Softest Pillow is a Clear Conscience. And the people attending this session will have many decisions to make in the near future, and the 7-step path that Andrea introduced will be quite helpful in making those decisions. And I'd just like to read them very quickly. Stop and think. clarify your goals, determine the facts, develop options, consider consequences, choose, and then mentor and modify. And I think those are all good things. I plan to keep them very handy. Yeah, it was great. And then a big congratulations goes to Mr. Lee Swift for being voted president-elect of the State School Board Association. He was voted in by fellow state school board members throughout the state. I know you will be as dedicated at the state level as you are for the Charlotte County Schools. And we're very proud of you. Mr. Olivo, I also want to say my congratulations. It's been a wonderful meeting, and I had questions, and you found the answers immediately, and I appreciate that. You were talking about Lemon Bay. I think also we went by Meadow Park and saw the demolition going on, and also our sheriff's department was able to use the building for training before it's totally demolished. So this is also involving the community. Regions Bank, the money will be locally, so this is going to also help our community. And the Tech Center, the student drafters helped renovate the Tech Center, the new buildings that are going to be renovated for cosmetology, and I can't remember the other one, but they had a big part in that. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mrs. Messina.
Well, Mrs. Miller was very thorough, so I have very little to add. I would like to extend my congratulations to Mr. Swift. I know we're all very proud of him and look forward to watching him over the next 2 years serve the State Association well. And Mr. Olivo, I too appreciated your quick and timely response to my questions and detailed answers. The only other thing I'd want to add, and it goes back to Lemon Bay construction, I don't know, because you guys don't get out to Englewood, obviously, as much as I do, but the story on the street and the buzz is, oh my gosh, can you believe how much they're doing out there? They really are moving out there, and people are shocked. I mean, if you were to go there now, you'd think the place had been under construction for 3 or 4 months. I mean, it's really moving, and things are going. It happened almost right after the ribbon cutting, and people are in the community are just really talking about it. So just wanted to make sure you all knew that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Swift.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And thank you for the kind words. It hit me sitting up on the dais this time like it never has before when I've been elected to an office at FSBA, the enormity of what's coming in the next 2 years, and particularly in the environment that we as a school district and the school districts in the state are going to be facing. There are going to be a lot of challenges. There are going to be a lot of situations that are going to be difficult to deal with, and knowing that I have the support of my board and a lot of people around the state that have helped me in the last 2 or 3 years, encouraged me, excuse me, to take on new challenges in the state association. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be fun, and those of you who are still going to be around are going to be called upon for some additional help in the next couple of years. And Bill Graham came up to me and congratulated me and reminded me that really this is a 3-year commitment. The commitment as president-elect, the year as president, and then the year as immediate past president. And I had never quite thought of it in that perspective before either. So it's going to be exciting, and again, I look forward to all of you in helping. I also attended the session that Mrs. Messina delivered, and in speaking to Dr. Blanton yesterday, he said that he had read the reviews, and it was the highest rated session of the conference, and just
go
figure. Go figure. They're going to offer it in maybe not the exact same session that they did this time, but there will be another ethics training class offered at the December conference. Candace Langford, the new president of FSBA, has some interesting ideas and some good thoughts, and I think we're going to be very pleased with her presidency and some of the directions that FSBA is going to be taking. Jerry, thank you for your performance tonight and for working with us. I know it's a slightly different situation than you've ever been placed in before, but I hope we didn't beat you up too badly. Thank you for the prompt response to the questions that I had as well. That's all I have, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Sir? And my only comments this evening would be to say thank you to Mr. Olivo. It was a great experience, and I also got very rapid, very full responses to the questions I had, which I appreciate. And I think you did a very good job, and we will ask you if you have comments before we give Dr. Gaylor an opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to personally thank my executive secretary, Laura McCarthy, for her assistance in the agenda items and agenda review preparation. The superintendent's executive secretary, Margie Smith, for her cheat sheet, keep me on task. And of course, I'd also like to thank board members for their sensitivity and being so gracious with me during my first time at BAT. It was greatly appreciated. I'd also like to thank our other assistant superintendents, Dr. Widmeyer, Dr. Whitaker, Ms. Mellinson, and all their staff. There are a number of their staff members who saw me walking up and down the corridors all day and say, "You again? You again?" And but they were very, very gracious in helping me to get the responses quickly, so that I can answer the questions quickly, so that I can get the responses back to you. And of course, the last person I'd like to thank, the next to the last person I'd like to thank is Dr. Gaylor for giving me this learning opportunity. I truly believe he put the super in superintendent, so I really appreciate this great opportunity. And last but not least, Procter & Gamble for making antacids, so that this could be a no-brainer for me. With that, ma'am, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Gaylor, would you have any comments this evening? With that, meeting adjourned.